Alright, so as you can see, a few things have changed. One, the lighting. Two, the hoodie has changed. And three, I've pretty much put the project together. So at this point, I'm going to give you a little bit of overview about like how the components all hook up, and then I'll give you some advice about how to put it together. And before all of that, I'm just going to show it to you. Alright, you ready? Now cover your ears because I'm going to move this thing, and it's probably going to be terrible. Alright, cool. So I'll just demo it actually doing what it should be doing. There's a process for installing the app. It's super easy, but I'll explain that too. Go ahead, I'm going to open up AutoTorch, and then just push a button, push a button, push a button, push a button. You can see we now have control over this thing, and we can go ahead and turn the lights on and off. Alright, so let's go back and cover what this thing, or how it's all put together, and then a little bit about how to physically put the pieces together. So what's going on with this is the only thing that I think is like tricky, air quotes, about this, or this build, is I needed to put 2 or 3 wires together, like to connect them, okay? And I would have soldered this and then covered it with electrical tape ordinarily, but I realized that if you're watching this tutorial, you may not have a soldering iron, so I didn't want to leave you sitting there and be like, well, dude, what am I going to do? What I did is I basically just spliced the wires. You could do that with pretty much anything. And splicing the wires just means that you take some sort of blade and or a nice tool. I happen to have both. They'll work equally well, although you're going to work a little bit harder with the blade to get this to happen. And basically strip off the protective plastic coating on a wire. And that'll leave the wire itself, the middle bit, exposed. And that's important because we have to get it to wrap around another wire that's also exposed, where it's conductive. So what I did is I took the power line, which is conveniently enough the red wire here. I don't know if you can see on the servos, but they come with a yellow, a red, and a brown. And if you had to take a guess, I think you can kind of tell. Red would be power. Brown would be the ground line, which is I already have it listed where these wires go, but I'll show you. And the orange wire, or orange, yellow, whatever color this is actually going to be your control logic for the servo. That's what tells it if it should be moving and where it should be moving to. In this case, I've got 2 servos hooked up. So what I did is I needed to power both of them. So I took this red wire and this red wire here from the servos, and I cut off the plastic around them, and then I went ahead and wrapped them together, and I did this red wire here is the 5-volt line on the Arduino. This line is going to be carrying the voltage or power, i.e. into the servos, so I had to connect that as well. So that makes 3 wires in total. So I had stripped them down, and mind you, while I did this, nothing was plugged in. I didn't do this while this was plugged into here, and I most certainly didn't have the Arduino on, like powered while I was doing this. And I went ahead and wrapped them around each other, and then I just simply hot glued them together. Hot glue is also an insulator, which is kind of nice. So this is electrically protected, which is great. I took some care to just carefully put hot glue on the wires in such a way that it would make sure that if you pulled on the wires, it wouldn't actually stress the connection itself, but rather just the hot glue here. Again, that really is the most technical thing that you'll really need to do on this project, at least like in the physical sense. There's another thing which, if you have any background in programming, is super easy, and if you don't have a background in programming, I have a link below that's set up for people that don't have a background to basically put code on the Arduino. Remember I said I wrote a program to run this? When you buy the Arduino, obviously that program is just not on there. So what you have to do is you have to put it on the Arduino. That's where this cable comes into play. It's actually really easy. All you're just going to be doing is copying text, which I have already, and then putting it in an editor that's like a text editor, which the link's already set up. You should just go follow it. The link, by the way, is from the people that designed the Arduinos. So it's very professional, it's trustworthy. It's the one I used when I first started playing with this. It's not hard at all. Basically, you'll just install the software, and then you'll plug in the Arduino, then you'll put the code into the software. There's like a text field, and then you'll upload it. That's it. It's really not complicated. It won't take you too long to do that. Anyway, after the software has been loaded onto here, what you're in a position to do is go ahead and test out the servos. So anytime you're working with the Arduino or any other real electrical device, what you want to do is make sure that it's off before you start playing with the wires. I know it sounds obvious, but if you were to accidentally plug a wire in the wrong hole or connect a wire to something you shouldn't and it shorted out and burned out the board, then you're out in Arduino or some of the boards, or you've damaged something and you don't know it. And then figuring out what's damaged from that point can be pretty tricky, especially if you don't have a background in electrical stuff. So please, before you plug in any wires with the Arduino, go ahead and have it unplugged and powered off. As you can see here, this is actually on, it's blinking. By the way, just a side note, this blinking right here means that the Bluetooth thing has power but is not connected to anything. And the phone over here, you'll see when I open the app, it'll tell you at the very top in text that it was trying to connect, then it made a connection. And you can see the patterns change here. That means we're connected, and when I push it, you can see this is all working, which is fine and dandy. By the way, I guess I'll just cover this briefly here, which I'll probably have as well in text in the tutorial. When you install AutoTorch, what you'll have to do is you'll have to pair it with the Bluetooth device. This is the standard procedure for Bluetooth devices. I can't get around this. Well, actually, I kind of could programmatically, but I decided not to because I was pretty lazy and it's not that hard to do. Okay, so what you have to do is power it on, which if you follow the details for how to plug it in, that's really not difficult at all. And then take your phone and turn on the Bluetooth when you're in close proximity to this, and then search for the device. It'll come up, which I already have labeled, and again in the text explanation of how to do this. And then go ahead and put in the password 1234 and hit pair. And after that, you're set. As long as you're within Bluetooth range of this device with the phone, this app will be able to control it. That's all you had to do. Really not that difficult. All right, so now I'm going to explain a little bit more about why this thing actually works. This is all you needed, by the way, to be able to make it work. Like plugging these wires in, putting the program on it, and then turning it on after you've loaded the software. That's it, and then get the phone set up. It works. All you have to do is like screw it in now. But I thought I would tell you, just in case you wanted to know a little bit about this, the wires here in the bottom of this read out VCC, which is the electrical in, GND, which always stands for ground, TXD, and RXD. The TX and RX stand for transmit and receive. And the transmit and receive pins are inverted in the Arduino when you plug it in. And what I mean by this is the transmit on the Bluetooth dongle device goes into the receive in the Arduino and vice versa. So it makes sense. You send to the receiving and you receive from the sending. That's how all that hooks up. I think at this moment, oh, okay, the last thing is about how to put this thing together. Sorry this is so long. I could have done it a little bit shorter if I didn't have to specify everything for someone that did not necessarily have a background in programming or electrical stuff. But basically for this, make sure you have all the servos lined up correctly, and before you do any of the installation for this, what you have to do is rough up, or it's ideal to rough up the area where you're going to be doing the hot gluing to attach these. Because it'll have something better to stick to. Trust me, that made things a little bit easier for me. And then go ahead and install them, and then power everything up once you got the program on it, and then check to make sure they're moving in the correct direction that they should be moving in, because that is useful. If not, you can change it in the code. It really is not hard to do, but I'm just going to assume you don't want to do that. And then after that, go ahead and glue them in place after you've, again, unpowered stuff. And then with it off, go ahead and install these things at a 45-degree angle facing inward. Again, this is after you verify that this is facing the right direction, because it is possible to take the hot glue off. It's actually pretty easy. A little bit of rubbing alcohol and like a knife will get it off. But I don't think you want to do things twice if you don't have to. Basically, yeah, this has been an explanation about how all this stuff works. And then I'll probably do a short video demonstrating it actually functioning. But you have now learned how to make and install an automated light flipping system. So thanks for watching this tutorial, and hopefully I'll make some more of these as time goes on.